It's me, Amul from Hippoda, and I'm fellow scholar of Nepal Open University, starting in second semester. Today, I'm going to do a video presentation as an assignment of translation studies on the essay entitled Concepts of Cultural Translation in British Social Anthropology by Talal Sir. In this second slide, I'm going to discuss the biography of Talal Asad very shortly. He was born in April 1932 in Medina in Saudi Arabia. He is one of the distinguished professors of anthropology at the City University of New York, CUNY Graduate Center. His publications are Genealogies of Religion, Discipline and Reasons of Power in Christianity and Islam, the book which is published in 1993, and Formations of the Secular Christianity, Islam, Modernity, which is published in 2003. In this third slide, I have entitled it as Discussing on the Essay. Who, which. Who refers to who is going to deal with this part of the essays, and which means which part given here. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to do the first two parts. They are A, background of the essay, B, the inequality of language. Whereas the rest of other two parts, like reading other cultures and conclusion of whole essay, will be discussed by my co-presenters, Mr. Arjun Prasad Tiwari from Bharatiya. In this slide, I'm going to discuss about the background of the essay. The essay, the concept of cultural translation in British social anthropology, is reprinted by Assad, and in the mode of reminding his readers that the phrase translation of cultures as a banal description of the distinctive tasks of social anthropology. By the above terms, it means in the study of social anthropology, the term cultural translation is widely or heavily used. To support his concept of cultural translation, he incorporates the quotation and comment of British anthropologists, namely Godfrey Linhart and Edmund Leach respectively. In their work, the core issue is translating a source language into target language requires a heavy deal of synchronization between them. Having synchronization between source language and the target language means the translation should touch the ground of human feelings and sentiments of source language users, which can be said in short, one needs to dive into it to feel it. In this slide, I'm going to discuss about Concepts and Society by Ernest Geller. In this paper, Geller's basic argument is A. Contemporary anthropologists insist on interpreting exotic concepts and beliefs within a social context, but that in doing so, they ensure that apparently absurd or incoherent assertions are always given an acceptable meaning, and that while the contextual method of interpretation is in principle valid, the excessive charity that usually goes with it is not. By the above line, he emphasizes on legitimizing even absurd meaning after translation. But he awares us to be cautious regarding excessive charity. Using the phrase no third language, Geller wishes that there would be third language that could bridge between source language and target language, generating the equivalence. But at the same time, Geller prohibits the translator to be the guilty of charity instead of maintaining critical distance. It means such translation may misguide the readers. If the translators get overwhelmed by his own knowledge, then the original meaning of the text get distorted. In this chapter, here he says, to recapitulate here he says his main focus is on the topic of cultural translation. He assumes translation as a matter of learning to live another form of life and to speak another kind of language. Assad concludes his detailed analysis of Geller's article by explaining an anthropologist, while translating from other cultures, must look for coherence in discourse. It means while translating language, culture gets translated too, because language is very vital part of the culture. While translating any text, there must be the coherence in between the languages, knowing the social value of source language. Assad dissects the whole essay in two major issues. The first one is the inequality of languages, and second one is reading other cultures. The topic in this slide is the inequality of languages. As per detailed discussion on unequal languages, Assad aids, a good translation seeks to reproduce the structure of an alien discourses within the translator's own language. Coherence reproduced will depend on the genre concerned, poetry, scientific analysis, narrative, etc. All successful translation is premised on the fact that it is addressed within a specific language. The above statements can be summarized as the translation that we make on source language should interact with the original rather than focusing on reproduction. The job of reproduction is mechanical one. Extracting the reality or real meaning from the source is the original task of any translators or anthropologists. The further that form of life is from the original, the less mechanical is the reproduction. This is what I just discussed about. Walter Benjamin says, the language of translation must give voice to the intentio of the original, not as reproduction, but as harmony, as a supplement to the language in which it expresses itself as its own kind of intention, which is I just discussed or clarified. A translator, while translating from remote language from his own, he should take reference of image and tone coverage. It is widely accepted that the third world languages are weaker in relation to Western languages, particularly English. Here, by the term third world languages refers to the languages of the least developed nation. And the Western languages belong to the capitalist or rich countries. And it is very explicit to all of us that the Western languages definitely have been hegemonizing the third world languages because of its greater use and influences globally. Translators are likely to submit to forcible transformation in the translations process since Western language produce and deploy desired knowledge more than third world languages, and Western nations can manipulate third world countries with a great ability, creating issues of political economic aspects. A moment earlier, I discussed about the same thing. Now, as an example, let's take a fact of modern Arabia. Since the early 19th century, there has been a growing volume of material translated from European languages, especially French and English, into Arabic in the domain of science, social science, and philosophy, etc. Such growth brings a transformations in lexical, grammatical, and semantic aspects, which creates a kind of inequalities in between the languages prevailing in the world. Let's take one example in this case, like if somebody wants to translate Nepali language into another target language, it's very difficult to translate for the translators or any other anthropologist. One reason here she may not find the rich vocabularies and other required sources of information. But at the same time, if somebody wants to translate English into any other language or any language into English, it's comparatively little bit compatible or convenient to those translators, because we can find the vocabularies of English and its sources greatly in the different sources. Industrial capitalism transforms not only modes of production but also kinds of knowledge and styles of life in the third world, and with them deviates the form of language. The half-transformed style an unskillful Western translator may create ambiguities and may simplify in the direction of his own strong languages. The above statements here it means that if any translator tries to transform or translate the ideas, here any translator means particularly the Western translators, if he or she tries to translate any text haphazardly, then obviously it misleads to the readers. Thank you, and expecting some creative suggestion.